Hey Graham, this is a little video I threw together for your birthday. You might want to pause it and get a box of tissues ready, just in case. I wanted to thank you for sharing the oral history interview of Grandpa Castle with me. It was very interesting and it's what gave me the idea for this video. Inside the book was a note saying that if you had any questions, to contact the history department at the University of North Texas. Well, I was curious if they still had the audio recording of the original interview. We emailed back and forth for a bit and they were able to locate it in the archives. I got them to digitize the recording for me so I could make you this video. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry if it makes you cry. Happy birthday, Mom.
This is Trisha Taylor Dixon interviewing Mr. Robert Casale for the University of North Texas Oral History Program. I am interviewing Mr. Casale to obtain his recollections regarding the Civilian Conservation Corps. Well, the first question I wanted to ask you is where were you born?
I was born at Lufkin in Angelina County, 1923, the 13th of September.
Perfect. And what are your first memories of growing up in Lufkin? What are your first memories of growing up in Lufkin?
I didn't grow up there.
Oh, you didn't?
I was
Tell
just
me where
born there.
Oh, okay. Tell me where you grew up.
Well, my dad went to work for, my mother and dad separated when I was 2 years old.
Me too.
And, of course, they got a divorce,
Right.
And, well, I think we stayed with my uncle there, Daddy's brother, for, well, he had a barber shop there. And Daddy went to Houston and took a barber course so he could get his license, and Uncle Martin let him work in the barber shop there, but he had to have his license.
This was in Lufkin?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Lufkin, but when Houston get his, went
His
to
license,
college,
okay.
barber college.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, but somehow we moved to Deweyville, Texas. And I stayed with this one and that, and our job was hard to find back then. And Dad, it wasn't easy for him to have a little kid there and him trying to find work. And,
Right.
and if he did find somebody to keep me, I don't know. But anyhow, I stayed there, went to school, started to school, and I don't know, I guess 1936, we moved to Louisiana. Moss Bluff is just 5 miles out of Lake Charles toward the river.
You said Lost Bluff?
Huh?
What was the town name?
Moss Bluff.
Moss Bluff, sorry. Okay, so you moved to Louisiana. Tell me, in 36, tell me a little bit more about that.
Okay, we moved down on the river up from Moss Bluff, a little old place called Green Long Bay, and with just one little house there. It's way out in the boondocks. There wasn't no neighbors. Our closest neighbor was 5-10 miles. We hunted rabbits and meat and coons and everything to sell them their hides, And some of it we eat the carcass like the coons, And that was in 1936. And then I don't really know what happened right then, but some way or another we was, somebody said Daddy could get a job, and what's that other planet? Mars, not the other one.
Venus?
Venus, yeah, and Venus.
Oh, okay.
Texas. We didn't go up there.
No, I know. I just, that's funny. Venus, Texas.
But anyhow, we picked cotton there at Venus for a fellow, and last week got through picking his cotton, he furnished us an old house to live in. It didn't have any windows in it, but it had a floor, you know.
Mhm.
And we didn't have no car then. We come up there with somebody else, and some way or another they left us up there at Venus, you know. And my stepmother, he had married again, you know, but I was 10, 11 years old.
Mhm.
But she had a sister that lived in Dallas, and we caught a ride from Venus to all of us in that truck. We got in the back of it. It had sideboards on it, you know. But anyhow, we stayed up there a couple of days with her and Daddy. We had that money that we made picking cotton, you know, or most of it. 'Cause it didn't take much to live back then.
Right.
And Dad went out and had to have some wheels. So he bought an old Model T, one of the first Fords that Henry Ford put out, you know, in 1921 and 22.
Mhm.
And it had been a touring car, and they cut it off the back of the front seat. It didn't have no top on it. Had the windshield, like a convertible.
Mhm.
And had a flat bed built on it, you know. So he went uptown, and they talked him into buying that thing. With $15 for it.
He paid $15 for the Model T.
$15 for it.
Wow.
And then we got on it, and we went to Cleburne, and Daddy started chopping cedar post. And we went to Marble Falls,
Mhm.
and we chopped. I mean, I wasn't big enough to do it then, but I got another job cutting post. Then we moved back down to Lake Charles again, you know,
Oh, really?
Miles Bluff,
Mhm.
Green Long Bay. We fished and sold our fish, you know. We go to town every Saturday and take our fish and sell them at Steve's Fish Market there. Steve's,
Steve's Fish Market?
yeah. That buy all we could catch, you know. No cash money.
Really?
So if we come out with $4 or $5 a week, well, we could buy us a bill of groceries and buy some more twine to make trot lines and limb lines out of it. Because about a week or 2 weeks, that water would rot them lines. If we caught something, the fish would just break and go on. So we had to buy that line. Them hooks would get rusted, you know.
Right.
All the time in that water. Then.
What kind of education were you receiving at this time? Did you get the
We never
opportunity to-
stayed in one place long enough for me to really say I even went to school.
Okay.
I know we moved to Manny, Louisiana after we went to Green Long Bay, and I had been going to school at different places in Texas, you know.
Mhm.
And but it wasn't very much. It wasn't even enough for the teacher the grades, you know. And so I went to I finished the 4th grade,
Mhm.
and I still couldn't read. I couldn't even write my name. But I was trying to think. Somewhere or another we got back to Lake Charles there, and then we moved to Manny, Louisiana. We was farming on halves. You know, if you farm on halves, the man that owns the farm,
Oh yes. Farm on half.
he'll furnish you all the horses and plows and the feed, and he'll supply you with groceries that whole year. And then at the end of the year, when they gather their crop, he generally comes out with it on the biggest end.
Right.
But
Supposed
we
to be
get
half.
we
but
get
it's-
we get a little because he'll charge you for this and that.
Right.
And some things he didn't expect to have to pay for, but he come up with some stuff that wasn't even in it. That's the way they all were, though.
Right.
We thought it was fine because everybody else done it.
Right. Understandable. So
You had a farm. You wasn't rich, but you wasn't like us either.
right.
Sharecroppers.
Sharecroppers. A lot of people were sharecroppers. That's how a lot of people survived, for sure. So, this about how old are you? Where we're talking now, when you're farming a house back in Manning?
Oh, I was about 9 years old when we moved to Lake Charles and Moss Bluff that first time.
first time?
It really wasn't Moss Bluff. We moved up on
Out
the
in
river.
the middle of nowhere.
River up there,
So tell me about, you were saying earlier how Roosevelt really helped save the American people. Tell me more about those feelings, how you feel about Roosevelt and
How I felt about what?
about Roosevelt. You told me earlier before we started the tape
Well,
about,
back then I didn't know, but since I've grown up, you can just look back and see what the presidents has done
right,
through the years,
Mhm.
and we've had some good ones, and we had some that wasn't so good.
right, but Roosevelt was good?
He was good.
Yeah,
See, he started the Social Security too,
exactly.
and you know what? It was a penny on the dollar when you first started it.
Nice.
And another thing, I've been drawing it ever since 1937. I mean, paying.
Right,
And it only started in 1936. About the time CC count started, this
Right.
Social Security. I don't remember what year the Social Security did. I think it was about 37 or 38.
hmm yeah. So tell me about your teen years and how you went to the CCC. When did you go into the CCC?
I don't really remember. It was probably in 37,
Mm-hmm.
but we say we lived at Lake Charles because that's where
Right.
I was living at Moss Bluff out there, No, Daddy done moved to Lake Charles then,
In 1937, you would have been 14.
14, yeah, something like that.
Right. So you probably went into the CCC maybe a little bit later, because I don't think you could go in until you were.
17 then, wasn't it?
Yeah, 17. So
Yeah.
you went in maybe in 40, in 1940.
Probably was.
And where did you how did you hear about the CCC?
Oh, I liked it. They fed you good.
Right.
They furnished you clothes. And
Right. How
they
did you?
gave you $8 a month, and
Right.
they sent 22 of it home for you. They give you 30,
I know.
but they sent 22 to your parents. That's really to help them and keep young boys out of trouble, which
Which is important.
which I didn't know how to get in trouble then.
How did?
I had never been nowhere.
How did you hear about the CCC? Where did you hear about the CCC?
My mom, that mom and daddy found out.
Okay, tell me more about
Yeah.
that.
I don't.
They
They just asked me, did I want to go,
Uh-huh.
or would I go? And I said, well, sure, if it'll help out.
Yeah.
They said, well, you get $8 a month. I said, good.
Okay.
I ain't never had $8 a month.
So they
You buy a Foot Locker, it costs $5, and they didn't have no closets in them barracks,
Mhm.
and you might near had to have a Foot Locker.
You had to buy your own Foot Locker?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they
No,
take out
$5.
25 cents a month.
So your dad and your stepmother signed you up.
Yeah,
Where did you where did you leave from? From Lake Charles?
Lake Charles.
Where did you go?
30 miles from Lake Charles to Hackberry.
Hackberry. Okay. What did you do there at Hackberry?
Well, I put my name down to drive a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't start right out there because they had the little schooling they had to run you through.
Tell me more about that. Tell me about the
Through.
schooling. And you had schooling that you had to run through before you could drive the truck?
you
What
had
kind
a
of schooling?
you had a foreman they called her, well they had several foremen,
Mhm.
but he'd get so many of them wanted to learn how to drive a truck, and we'd go to class, and I started getting a little education,
Mhm.
and so I kept on running through that until I passed the test, and then I was a truck driver. I didn't have to do nothing but drive that truck out there and watch them other people work. I like that.
You can't beat that. So you drove the truck. You learned how to drive the truck. What did the other gentlemen do? What did they do at your camp?
Oh, they've done different things, but down there at Hackberry, it's a lot of marshland down there.
Uh-huh.
And this was to help the government too, I guess, and the wildlife.
Yeah.
See, they got a lot of ducks and geese down there. And it marsh, and the old marsh bushes had growed up, and mud had washed in there on top of the sand. And they'd load them dump trucks with a shovel, 4 or 5 people around it, maybe 10, I don't know.
Yeah.
To skim that mud off and then put it in a dump truck and haul it off. And so that sand would be there where the birds could pick it, and they had to put that in their craw to grind up their food.
Right. Okay.
And so that's what I done at Hackberry.
And so what were other jobs that other people could do at Hackberry?
I don't really know.
Okay. So, but they were clearing the mud off the marshlands,
Yeah,
the ducks.
yeah.
So basically to promote the wildlife to grow again.
And they wanted to know that I want to signed up every 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if I could go somewhere besides Hackberry, yeah, I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
So I did. I signed up and left Hackberry.
Where did you go?
Mineral, California. That's across the whole world.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like it to me.
Well, I understand that. But before we go to California, I want to talk a little bit more about Hackberry.
Okay.
I haven't talked to anyone before that worked in Louisiana with any of those type of things, so I'm really curious to find out.
You haven't?
No, most of the guys have worked actually out in Texas, clearing land. So I'm really interested in hearing more about that camp. What were your first impressions of the camp? The guys that were in the camp. What was your first impression of them?
Oh, I liked them. I liked everybody.
Yeah. Were there any sort of initiations, or kind of like to kind of show you how things were done around there, or like short sheeting your bed or anything like that?
Oh yeah, they done that.
Yeah? Tell me about that.
Well, they just short sheet, and you had to undo it to get that sheet down where you get in the bed. But anyhow, they had heaters in the barracks, one in one end and one in the other end, and 25 cents a month. They give somebody 25 cents a month to build a fire in the morning, because you had to have somebody do it, because that many people, you can't say it's your time, all that stuff. And I told them I'd do it at my end of the barrack,
Yeah?
Then they had another guy on the other end.
So you earned extra money that way?
Yeah,
How much did you earn?
25 cents a month.
From everybody? From each person?
Yeah,
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. That's really good
yeah.
money. How many people were
But
in
some
your
of them
band?
didn't pay.
You never-
But I didn't worry about that. Some of them did.
Yeah. How many
It was
people were
just
in there?
Huh?
How many people were in your barracks?
I don't remember. There was quite a few, like 20 or 30 or something like that. Just long barracks, and everything was green. There was like when you went to when World War II and cigarettes at Lucky Strikes was green and white,
Oh, they were green
Yeah.
and white? I didn't know they were green and white.
and now they're red and white.
Yeah, now they are.
And it said the company Lucky Strikes said Lucky Strikes has gone to war. You know, all of the Army stuff was painted green too back then, saying they needed that paint, and that's the reason they cut Lucky Strikes from putting that green on their
That's why they
cigarette
changed to red?
package. Yeah, so they could have the paint for to keep up their equipment and make it all look alike. You
I
know.
did not know that. That's really interesting. That's interesting.
And in the CC camp, you had to keep your truck clean.
Mhm.
You had to change the oil in it. You had to fix a flat if we had a flat. You know.
Mhm.
But that's when you'll get in.
Okay, that's no problem. Tell me, you said earlier you were talking about how you got schooling to drive the truck, and you got to drive the truck, and that was a good thing. Did what other types of education was offered at your camp?
None that I remember.
Okay.
You know,
There weren't any other classes?
I went in the Army and I started out in the second grade. Even had a woman teacher
Really?
at Camp Barkley at Abilene, Texas. That's
Mhm.
where they sent me from Lake Charles to Abilene, Texas, to take my basic training.
Okay, okay. Okay, so there was no education there at Hackberry. Let's see. Describe the leadership at the camp. Who was in charge at Hackberry?
I don't know. They had I guess they were officers,
Mhm.
but they also had foremen. I guess they like a lieutenant or whatever it was, but they were more strict on keeping your shoes shined than the Army was.
Oh, really?
They was. Man, they didn't go for that at all. They didn't. It kind of aggravated them, you know. And I sure didn't want to do nothing to aggravate them.
No. How else were they strict? They were strict in your shoes, shining your shoes. What else were they strict about?
Keeping the camp police stuff.
Mhm. What was involved with policing the camp?
Some people throw down candy wrappers, cigarette butts, chewing gum wrappers, or you know how you look at the highway.
True. And you had to
So
clean
it's
that up.
about like that, you know.
Mm.
It wasn't that bad, you know, because we kind of learned that we had a trash can up there we could put it in,
Right?
and if we didn't, we had to. They get a whole bunch of us. You go out there and pick up every little cigarette butt, and so if we didn't throw down none, we didn't have to pick it up. But
True.
if somebody else throwed it down, we didn't say we weren't going to pick it up, you know, of course.
That's true.
Because they were pretty strict on you. I mean,
Describe to me. You said that you were in your barracks and you were in charge of keeping the fire, which helped you earn extra money. Describe what you remember about like the layout of your camp. If you were to walk into your camp today in Hackberry, what would you see? How was everything arranged?
you'd see one road coming in from the street out there, and it said, about 3 blocks off of the road, you know.
Mhm.
But back then it was gravel.
Right.
It wasn't concrete or asphalt.
What was the first building you'd see as you drive up?
I guess seemed like me the mess hall, you know, was right at the end of that road, so that'd be about the first thing you saw. But
Well,
you know, and then they seemed like to me they had little streets down like around it after you got inside,
Mhm.
not down to it because didn't have that many cars in there, you know.
Right.
All was allowed in there was the company vehicles, you know. Of course, they had a parking lot, I think, for people to come visit, but nobody never come visit me. So, but they let you go home on the weekend if you got a pass.
Tell me about that.
Well, I'd go home, and when I was at Hackberry there, it wasn't but 30 miles from Lake Charles, and I'd see if they'd give me a pass and let me go.
What was required to get a pass? What would you have to do?
We just had to. You couldn't get one every week, you know. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks
Uh-huh.
you had to stay there. I guess you earned it.
Right. A lot of gentlemen have said they had to earn their weekend passes. So
Am I telling you about the same thing?
you know you're telling me.
Other people?
No, I'm interested in whether in the fact that yours is similar, but there's some things that are very different about your camp. So I definitely want to hear.
Right?
Yeah, I want to hear what you have. So when you went
But I
into,
was very unhappy there. After I found out I wasn't going to get to go nowhere else, you know, unless I signed up, you know.
oh,
And then I wanted to go somewhere besides Hackberry.
so talk to me about California. Now you said you were in Mineral.
Mineral,
Sorry.
just like mineral water.
Uh-huh. I got it now. Tell me
It's
about.
43 miles from Red Bluff. It's a little bitty town, and it's at the foot of Mount Lassen. And we you don't have a lot of forest fires out there. And on them mountains, them dead timber that was standing, we'd saw them trees down and pile them up and burn them, you know. You know, they made a fire line where it couldn't get it out and start another forest fire, you know. But they had so many there that you wasn't even supposed to smoke or throw a cigarette out the window or nothing like that.
Tell me about your trip out to California. You'd never been to California before.
Oh, I think we went on a troop train. There was a bunch of us.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
I mean, I had steam engines in, you know. And, man, that was a joy of my life.
Really?
It was. Get to go somewhere besides there, you know. That's where I was at.
Yeah, tell me. So you were on a train that took you from Louisiana all the way to California.
Yeah, and they had a dining car on there, and they cooked and fed us good. It was a sleeper. They call it Pullman,
Mhm.
where they got an upper deck and a bottom deck. We rode just like we were civilians, except it didn't cost us nothing.
Right. What? How long did it take to get from Louisiana to California?
I don't know.
Several days, or?
Yeah, it seemed like a month, you know. I'd rather took a little less time because I had to go to work when I got up there.
Mhm. Well, so when you got to Mineral, California, and you said you were working on forest fires, but when you got there, what was your impression of that camp as opposed to your camp in?
Oh, it was real nice,
Mhm.
and they had built in a sort of a horseshoe
Mhm.
deal.
Mhm.
The barracks were,
Oh, okay.
and they had what do you call it, a courtyard, I guess, out, and it, right in the middle it had a tall flagpole, and a flagpole,
Oh.
and that was all grassy around there.
And it was nicer than.
Oh yeah, it was nicer than
What made it nicer?
just the atmosphere, and there was a mountain, and,
Yeah.
and we built ski jumps too
Oh,
for,
really?
for the professional skiers up there, you know.
Mhm.
The government done that for nothing, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So you built ski jumps and
Yeah.
fire lines.
And we get all that timber that was already fell down, you know. And we had to pile it up, put it in a neat pile, and dig around it where there wouldn't be none. They couldn't go over on the other side and catch for and start a big forest fire like they have out there in California. They have them every year. That's so awful, isn't it?
It is really
And
awful.
some of them are set too, you know.
I know. So you guys worked on preventing that out there.
Yeah, we tried to prevent. You know, a lot of times the lightning starts them too. You know.
Tell me what's involved in building a ski jump out in California. That's interesting.
Well, you have to get up there first, and that's a problem.
So how did they get you guys up there to build them?
Oh, you drive the truck part of the way, but then after so long, you know, you have to park it there, and
You have to hike it up there?
good part about it, I just didn't have to do nothing. I just sat in my truck and shined it or wiped it.
So you drove the truck. You
Up
drove
there
the guys
too.
up there to build
Yeah.
the ski jumps.
I didn't have to go to school either.
You already had that truck mastered. Pretty
Yeah, I had
good.
my driver's license.
There you go.
It was a government driver's license, the first driver's license I ever got.
That's great. And you said that was close to Red Bluff, California.
43 miles.
43 miles. And did you get to go
And it
anywhere?
wasn't, yeah, they'd take you on a, they call it a rec trip.
A rake trip?
Rec trip.
Uh-huh. And tell me about that.
They would furnish, you'd go up there at the office and put down your name if you wanted to go to town on a weekend, and you'd go up there on the Friday, Saturday, and come back Sunday morning real early.
Where would you stay in Red Bluff if you went overnight like that? Where would you find
I never did go and stay all night.
I
Didn't have no money.
So, what time of year are we talking about here? You said that you went into, when you were in Louisiana, you were there for 6 months. Do you remember when you went in? Like what season it was? Was it hot? Was it cold?
In Hack Bear,
Either one. Just kind of give
well,
us a time
it
frame.
was in the winter time. I mean, summertime.
Summertime when you went to
Yeah. But
California.
it must have been getting, you know, on dark because I had to build a forest, you know.
That's true. You're right.
And
You're right. And then it was summer when
but,
you were in California.
yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
and that I didn't start that bar building up there.
Right.
I done smelt a rat there.
Drive that truck, right?
Yeah.
Did you have let's see. So your barracks were in a horseshoe.
I wound up being a professional truck driver. I drove a truck
Did you?
all my life, nearly, you know. A lot of times I couldn't find a truck driving job, but that didn't mean I'd sit down and wait for somebody to come and say, hey, you want to drive my truck today? I'd find something else until I could find me one, but believe my eyes were looking for both sides.
How was, I know this is going to sound like a silly question, but how was being in the camp different from being at home with your dad and your stepmother? What did you miss about being at home?
I didn't miss too much being home. You got plenty to eat.
Tell me about the food.
It was good.
What'd they serve you?
Just they give you a meat and 3 vegetables and biscuits and cornbread. I didn't have too much light bread anywhere then, you know.
They shouldn't have light bread sometimes.
I know they didn't even have it sliced with just a loaf. You have to slice it yourself till they come around with them slices. I like them slices.
You like those slicers? That
Because
sounds
it
pretty cool.
tear the bread all up, you know.
That's true.
Can you imagine trying to make you a sandwich out of
No.
2 pieces of bread you
You
pieced off
tore
of
it
the
off.
wall?
That's not
See, if
good.
I'd have been eating that a while ago, I might have still been eating them.
That's true. That's true. So they fed you sandwiches with unsliced bread. And what did they serve you for breakfast?
Eggs and gravy and bacon. They changed it up ham or sausage, you know.
Not bad. So,
And you had milk if you wanted it, or sometimes they had boiled eggs, you know, soft boiled eggs or scrambled eggs with bacon scrambled all in them, you know.
yum. So you tell me about dinner. Dinner
And
was
coffee.
the meat and vegetables for
Yeah,
dinner.
they you know what? They'd send a truck out there, and all he had was them big old pots, all around the edge of it, and they'd bring their canteen in there, and their stuff, and they'd had plated, folded up, and it had two compartments in it, you know.
Huh.
And when you fold it up, it had one compartment here. When it unfolded it, then it kind of had a handle on it. You kind of use that for a frying pan if you had to, you know.
This is for gentlemen that were up building the fire lines.
Well, anybody, but at noon, that chow truck would be out there. Everybody would get in line, go around there, and they'd dish it out to them.
Really? But you
Yeah,
brought
hot
your own
food.
You brought the bowl with the container
The
with
container,
you.
yeah.
You kept it with you.
Yeah,
Huh. That's interesting.
yeah.
And then they brought hot food up there to you guys on a chow truck.
Oh, yeah. It had lids on it, and this
Yeah.
great big old... You've seen in the restaurant house, some of these big restaurants got pots this big around, you know.
And they'd carry those on the trucks.
Huh?
They'd carry those on the trucks like that.
Yeah, they kind of had it special made, you know, where it wouldn't fall off, and the lid wouldn't bounce off.
That's great. A hot meal up in the
Yeah,
mountains.
yeah. And down there too, you know, at Hackberry,
Oh, and there too.
yeah, it wouldn't be sometimes 3 miles from the camp, or sometimes it might be 4 or 5 miles. Them marshes a long time.
Right. Let's talk about the doctor's office or the first aid station. Did you what type of medicine could you get at the camps that you were at?
Medicine,
Or medical treatment?
I don't know. I never was sick.
Well, that's good.
I never was sick.
That's good. Was anyone injured while you were at either one of your camps?
And yeah, there was a truck driver. He had to drive one of the rake trucks to Red Bluff. They'd pick out the ones that they wanted to go, and they.
Okay, we had just paused, and we were talking about the gentleman that was driving a truck and that was injured on the way. He said there was a truck driver injured. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, he drove the wreck truck. One of them, they had. According to how many people wanted to go, is how many different drivers they need, you know. And that one, they went down there and they were coming back like after 12, 1 or 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, just uphill right there all the way. Because Red Bluff is sort of down in the valley, and Mineral's up close to the, not on the top, but it's closer than Red Bluff is, and it's more higher, you know. And one of them big rocks fell, rolled off in front of one of them trucks coming back with a man on it, and it was an open top, you know, just had signboards on it, bobtail. And it killed, I don't know, a bunch of them.
Really?
A bunch of them injured. They killed the driver. I didn't want to go on the wreck trip and drive, you know. Sometimes you had to, though, if they picked you, you know. But I think about that all the time.
Oh my goodness.
That was so awful.
How many guys were?
I think there's about 15 or 20 can get in the truck, you know. You know how the mountains, have you been out in California? Well, you know, the big old rocks time wash the dirt away from them, and then next time somebody comes by there, it could, but it wouldn't maybe for 2 or 3 years. But all of a sudden, they have them to break loose. I've heard of several out there that
Oh, and it killed several guys. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And the driver, he was a nice guy.
Yeah. How did that affect the camp? How did that with that accident? How did that affect you at that time?
Well, just got through saying I didn't want to go,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be the driver either.
Understood.
Sure didn't want to be the driver. And I didn't want to go because you didn't have no money to spend. It don't take long to get rid of $8.
No. That's true. Especially in town. In town, you spend a lot of money. And did the camp? So the camp carried on as normal, or did they? What happened at the camp after
Well,
this accident? I mean,
Well, it just had to go on like it was.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't nothing they can do about it. It was just an accident, and the works of God, I guess, or it ain't the works of God. I don't think He does things like that.
no, I agree.
But it's just one of those things that when you're around machinery, or you can
you can be walking down the street and
and get killed.
Yeah. Oh, that's really tragic. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know about that.
But as the months went on, you forget about it.
Right. So
I got one son that killed himself
really?
right down there off of my car.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Hung himself.
Hmm.
It'd be 2 years this next November. February. 9th of February.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So, well, let's talk a little bit more about the CCC if we can. You were at Mineral. How long were you there?
6 more months.
6 more months.
Yeah.
Then what did you do?
Went home.
Well, did you have the
Got on
opportunity?
that train again.
Yeah.
That big long train. It's a long train. You could, be in the middle of it. You're going around that mountain. You could see the engine over here. Right over there, you could see the caboose. The passenger train didn't have a caboose, but it was
You can see the end.
yeah, it was the tail end of the train. It had a little metal thing around the edge of that last car.
Oh yeah, so you can look out.
Yeah, a little porch of a thing. But then.
Yeah. So let's talk about the clothing that you wore at the camp. What did they give you to wear?
They were made out of wool. That was the Sunday.
Oh, the dress clothes?
Suit, yeah, dress. Made out of wool, and it was green.
Of course. Of course it was green.
And they had khaki pants, and I think they were green too. I think everything CCC had was green. I never remember seeing any ladies or civilians working out there. It looked like you would have done it. But
you would think there'd be some civilians. What about the gentlemen that were there? What about the guys who led you? Like the guys, the foremen out in California? Were they were CCC or were they local guys?
No, they wore uniforms.
They were uniforms.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're probably Forestry Service.
Huh?
The Forestry Service, working for the government. That's probably who they were. So, what did you wear day to day?
Pants and shirt.
Green.
Yeah.
What did you get?
And when you went in the army, then it was green. Green ODs, green fatigues. Now they still got green in there, but they're doing it a little different now.
Yeah,
It's got a sort of a creamish color.
The sand-colored one, exactly. So, when you went from Louisiana to California, what did they issue you different clothes?
Yeah, warmer clothes.
Warmer clothes.
Yeah, because I think in the wintertime we got out there,
Mhm.
and we had to haul that coal in from Red Bluff down there.
On the trucks?
Yeah, sometimes because the railroad didn't go through there. See, that when we got to Red Bluff, everybody got off the train and them trucks were lined up to carry us out there to camp.
Wow.
And then you had to load that coal and bring it in the mineral up there because they had coal heaters then. They had wooden heaters and hackberry.
You want to be careful. You had a lot of wood to burn out there in California.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they made you use coal.
Huh?
I'm surprised they made you use coal. You think you had a lot of wood out there.
Oh yeah,
to
that
burn.
stuff is so nasty.
It gets on everything.
Yeah.
Well, you could have had black clothes. The coal dust. Coal leaves dust everywhere. That's true. So, I know that you, it seems to me that everybody did their part to really make it, to work as hard as they could for their families, so they could send the money home. But what would be a consequence of someone that didn't follow the rules, that didn't do what they were supposed to do?
Well, that throw them out.
Throw 'em out.
Yeah, I mean, just like you working for me and you get out there and you ain't gonna do very much and you gonna try to make me think you done a whole lot and you say, well, Mr. Castle, I've done the best. I said, no, you ain't done the best. You can go to the house,
Right.
That's what they would do.
So,
Well, it's just like working on a public for somebody else,
Yeah.
which you got a boss anything you do.
so
I still got bosses now. My son-in-law and daughter try to boss me.
They try to boss. So what did they what would they send them home from the camp, or just send them to a different area of work?
No, they ain't gonna work there. They won't work nowhere else.
So they sent them home.
Now, I think that's what happened. It would be my notion, my idea that they, because they ain't gonna. If you run off and they have to come get you, man, they make you be on KP a long time, make you dig a big long hole.
Really?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 foot deep, like your grave, and throw a cigarette in it and say, now cover it up.
Really?
I think people done that, but I don't guess I must have had more sense than they give me credit for, because I could look around and tell what I should do and what I shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to try them neither, because I done seen some of it.
Did you ever get KP?
Oh yeah, it KP. I think, if I ain't mistaken, you've had to, if it wasn't a volunteer thing,
Mm-hmm.
they would have you to do it,
Uh-huh.
because, it's so many people there, them cooks had to cook for them. They had to have somebody to peel potatoes, wash dishes, pots and pans and all that
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. Huh. What did you like doing KP? Did you like doing that or no?
The only thing I liked about it, I could get anything I wanted to eat in there.
That's true. That's a benefit, though. Seriously.
Yeah, if they had cake or pie or steak or biscuits, I could have 2 instead of 1 if I wanted to.
Bad,
And back then I was a pretty good eater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and at home there was a lot of times I went hungry. I mean, real hungry. That's before my dad had married again,
Yeah. What kind of food was? What were some of the foods that you got in the CCC that you'd never seen before, being at home with your dad? What foods were new to you, in the CCC?
Well, they before we, after the years, move on a place and buy no house sow, and she'd have some pigs, you know, we'd raise them up, and then the wintertime we'd kill them.
Right.
And we had pork.
Mm-hmm.
We had a meat grinder. You could turn it with your hand, but it'd grind up and make sausage out of it, out of the meat, you know.
You've had fish, we know.
Yeah, we had
And coon.
fish anytime we wanted it.
And coon.
But I don't know. If you try to find out what we had before me and Daddy, before he got married again, because there wasn't nobody but me and him, and I was just a little
Right.
young'un. And I remember them days real good that we didn't have nothing to eat for 3 or 4 days. And you know, a younger get hungry, but the grown up get just as hungry, you know. But we lived down on the river, me and Daddy did, at Deweyville. Now here I've thought of something else at Deweyville, you know, and he couldn't get a job or nothing. And
So you went for 3 or 4 days?
if I got a nickel or a dime, Daddy always said, he said, boy, he said, I just amaze you every time I see you do something like you generally do. I said, what's that, Daddy? He said, somebody give you a nickel or a dime, said you run down to Mr. Hogan's, that's one store down there at Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 3 miles. Run down there and get a pound of beans. It was 5 cents a pound for pinto beans.
Mm-hmm.
Get a pound of beans. If they give you a dime, you get 2 pounds. And come back and wash them and put them on and cook them. Because, you know, when we didn't have that,
Yeah.
I could have got a piece of candy, but Daddy wouldn't have benefited out of it.
Exactly.
And I'd only benefited out of it just long enough to swallow the life. But them beans, if there's some left, we could have them a little later.
That's true. That's true.
And then flour gravy,
Mm-hmm.
and there no milk to go in it, just river water. We drank river water right out of the river. And they say now you can't do that.
They do, sir.
But look how bad I am.
Well, maybe the water wasn't as polluted back whenever you were drinking it. Hopefully. And they didn't put all that stuff in the water, hopefully, back then. Let's see, what else can we talk about that I haven't asked you about? With the $8 that with the $22 that you sent your dad and your stepmother.
You didn't have nothing to do with it.
What did he do with it?
They sent it to him.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so they sent it to him.
Yeah.
And what was he able to do with that money?
Him,
Your dad.
it helped him real good. He finally got a job at the mill down there at Lake Charles.
Yeah.
And he sold that Model T for $3. And he bought a Chevrolet.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shift gear truck. That Model T didn't have no gears in the transmission. It run off of bands in there. It was really, if you get right down to it, the first automatic transmission.
Really?
It never had no gears in it.
It bands?
Bands, like a brake band on you, like before they put these disc brakes on it. You know, them others had bands that you had to have put on there every so often. Well, that's what the transmission of the Model T had.
Really? So he sold the Model T for $3, and he was able to buy the Chevy with the money.
Yeah, and it was a shift gear.
Mhm.
In 1933.
That's closer to when that was.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
1933.
So tell me, you were discharged. This would have been if you were in for 6 months at Hackberry, and then you were in for 6 months in Mineral. So So you were there for a year. So what happened when you came home, or did you? You said you went home to Lake Charles.
Yeah.
What did you do when you got home?
Oh, I don't think I've done this for a while, but let's see.
This would have been in 41. Is that right?
Yeah, I had an uncle in Shreveport, my mother's side, her brother, and he knew a guy that was working at maybe I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay, fine.
Just about 75 miles from Shreveport.
So you got a job working with him?
Yeah, he got me on at Meriwether's gravel company there that had a gravel plant where they washed the gravel, got the pea gravel and the inch and the quarter and the quarter inch and stuff separated and everything. And went to work down there. Worked for a good little while. Then they bombed Pearl Harbor. That's where I was working at when they bombed Pearl Harbor.
You were Meriwether got
I had got burnt the day before, like today. And that night, they bombed Pearl Harbor. And I was going to hitchhiking the ride going to Shreveport to go to the hospital. That's what the doctor told me to do. Oh, it burnt me plumb up on my head. It like to got me.
Oh, my.
And all my foot was burnt, just where my shoes wasn't covering up. My leg was just meat, just raw meat, wasn't no hide on it. The real bumpy and the stink. Oh, God, that's the worst. Is human flesh burning? I know.
You.
I had to smell it.
Yeah. So you were on your way to Shreveport, and you're in the doctor, and so that's when you heard about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, the next morning I heard that they. But I didn't know that much about the government, and I didn't know that people were gonna go to war then.
Oh.
But of course, after they'd done that, well, President Roosevelt, he declared war, which I know now, but I don't blame him. There was a lot of lives lost in that, but that I guess it was for the better. I don't know. I don't like the way they're going now. All them people getting killed every morning. You find out where some soldiers got killed last night. In the morning, I turn that TV on. They'll say, well, somebody blowed themselves up and killed 3 soldiers, injured some Iraqis.
Right. When were you drafted into the service? You were burned, so you were injured. You weren't able to go in at the beginning.
Yeah, I went in. It was after I got well, Yeah, I was off work, but they made me. They got me to sign a release, and I didn't know nothing about this stuff, and I didn't get nothing out of it except $4 a week out of workman's comp. They was paying workman's comp back then, but I wondered how come they give me that check every week. I wouldn't do nothing.
How funny. How funny. Well, is there anything else that you want to tell me that I didn't ask you about the CCC?
No, I can't think of nothing. I'd be glad to tell you.
Yeah. No problem.
But I don't know. Maybe tomorrow I'd think up something. I should have said this to her.
That's all right.
Because me and my son's trying to do a book on me.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
we've got along in there pretty
Really?
after I went to CC camp.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you do think of something, you can always add it later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna start back on it again. And he said he knows a publisher that might publish it. You know.
That's great news.
He said, "What do you want to?" And that, oh, I didn't tell you about me leaving home.
Well, then what
And I went to see my mom, and I found out where she was at.
How old were you at this time?
13, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead.
And I left Maddie to run away from home. And Daddy didn't see me no more for about a year.
Really?
Because I caught a ride coming back there. And with a truck, the man that owned his own truck, and I got me a little more experience
I see.
rolling that rig down the road.
Wow.
But anyhow,
So, let's see.
Jack said, what do you want to name that book, Dad? I said, To Find My Mother.
Oh,
So I did. I found her.
where was she?
Los Angeles, California.
Oh, so you went to California?
Yeah, but that's after I went to. That's before I went to CC camp.
Okay. I didn't realize you'd already been to California.
Huh?
Before. I didn't realize you'd already been to California before.
Well, I didn't either. I had.
You forgot about that.
Yeah,
She was in L.A., huh?
1022 West Washington Boulevard. I memorized that address back there, and I'm 80 years old, and I still remember it like my Social Security number.
How funny. How funny.
I memorized it, and I still remember it.
How do you feel, just in looking back, how do you feel, what are your just general feelings about the CCC?
I think it was a wonderful place.
Yeah.
I really do. I wouldn't lie to you about it either. You know, because it helped a lot of people, and it was whatever you might want it to be.
True.
You know, you could make anything hard on you, or you can mellow it down and make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do either one you want. And that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
But I didn't see they done anything wrong but help me. I mean, they fed me good, and they give me a truck to drive, and they taught me how to do it, and taught me how to build them ski jumps. But of course, I didn't go down to Louisiana to build no ski jumps. Maybe water ski.
Right. Oh, wow. Well, I really appreciate you telling me about that.
Huh?
I really appreciate you telling me about that.
Well, you're welcome.
Sure.